Joining us now, retired NATO Commander General Wesley Clark, who made several trips to Bosnia during the war there. We'll also be speaking in a moment with Vladimir Petrovic, who is Serbia's ambassador to the United States. Gentlemen, good to have both of you with us. General Clark, I want to begin with you. As you look at this, Mark laid out a little bit some of the atrocities there, but they're almost unspeakable in so many ways. Walk us through why Mladic was, in fact, one of the most wanted men in the world.
Well, he was the commander of the Serb forces that were responsible for the siege of Sarajevo, and he also had an outsized personality. So he seemed to revel in this. He seemed to pursue an ideological savagery against the Muslim and Croatian members of the citizenry there in Sarajevo. And this was capped off by the massacre at Srebrenica, where some 8,000 Muslim men were separated from their families and systematically murdered over the course of a couple of days in July of 1995.
Go ahead.
And this was his leadership as a general.
You met with him in the 90s.
I did.
What was he like? Did he appear to be a madman, even sadistic, as some have painted him?
Well, there's no question that he had a very strong sadistic streak. He was a very intelligent man who had intimidated some of the UN commanders. I thought that he was blustery. He was full of passion and ideological zealotry for this cause of Serb nationalism, and ultimately he was a murderer and a war criminal. When
you look at the number of years that it took to finally catch him, and the references that in many ways he was out there hiding in plain sight, seen out dining at restaurants, even in some cases where foreign diplomats might go. Why was it so difficult to catch him?
Well, when he was under the protection of Slobodan Milosevic, shortly after the Dayton Accords were signed, I'm sure that Milosevic protected him officially through his office of the presidency and through Mladic's wide circle of acquaintances. Mladic was a regular officer of the Yugoslav National Army. Throughout all of this, he was paid by the Serb government to lead the Republika Srpska forces. He was simply a Serb general, and so Milosevic brought him home, and he was somewhat lionized by these right-wingers there. Milosevic was taken to The Hague, and gradually Mladic's support just fell away. The nations of the West never gave up on pursuing Ratko Mladic, and the Serb government itself was constantly pressured to turn him over to justice. And eventually the pins lined up in such a way that his support had fallen away. He was identified, and they took this step. It's an historic step and a very positive step for Serbia and the West.
And Serbia's ambassador to the U.S., Vladimir Petrovic, is with us as well this morning. Sir, how significant is this to both the people of your country and to the global community?
Well, this is something my government has been working on for years now. We have tried to find him and arrest him. I just want to remind you that before him, we have arrested and sent to the Hague Tribunal about 45 people, including 2 former presidents of Serbia, including President Slobodan Milosevic, and many generals. So this is the last step in our cooperation in The Hague. And this was our legal obligation under international law, but it was our legal obligation under domestic law and also our moral obligation. So we're really happy this has finally happened. Go ahead.
I was going to say there was some concern, as Mark Phillips pointed out in his piece, some concern over potential demonstrations, even protests yesterday. There were reports that in the town where he was captured, a sign went up that said, Mladic, hero. How concerned are you, how concerned is the government about any sort of retaliation for the fact that he has now been captured?
You know, every society and every country has extremists, but I think this is really minor. In Serbia, yesterday, you had demonstrations in capital Belgrade, capital city of 2 million people. Only about 150, 200 people showed up. So we really think this is minor.
How do you think this will change, in some ways, the perception of your country, both for the European Union and even outside?
Well, I think the perception of my country has changed tremendously since the change in 2000. We have worked under the leadership of President Tadic really hard on reconciliation in the region. We, I think, took a lead in the region, and we're calling on all the countries in the region to deal with war crimes, to deal with people that were doing such atrocities. And I think this arrest is really a big step forward into that path of reconciliation and #1 priority for all the countries in the region to join the European Union.
Ambassador Vladimir Petrovic, General Wesley Clark, thank you both for your time this morning.
Thank you.